So, you know that movie about a villager looking for help to save his town? No, not the Magnificent Seven. The one where this little dude finds these warriors to help fight off the bad guys. I'm not talking about A Bug's Life. Spoilers, but I'm talking about the one where, like, everyone with a name gives their life to save the day. No, not Danny Trejo's 2025 cinematic masterpiece, Seven Cemeteries.
Let's finish this. You told me to get some help. This is what I got.
I am talking about the original. The one that, if you have not seen it, you will recognize the moment you do. 1954's Seven Samurai, directed by Akira Kurosawa. Hello, friends, and thank you so much for being. I am Kasey, and I love looking at themes and adaptations and franchises, and asking why these stories we love survive for so long, and all of this other nerdy malarkey. And this is my birthday month, which means I get to talk about whatever I want. No algorithm adhered to.
Happy birthday, Ron.
Anne said you had a big party. Sombreros, karaoke.
I did that for Anne. Why would I throw Ron Swanson an Ann Perkins party? So, I have rented Bridge on the River Kwai and The Dirty Dozen.
Seven Samurai is one of the most influential films in the history of cinema. And more than that, it's about the price of protection and who survives thanks to that price. Through my eyes, Seven Samurai is not a story about noble heroes or glorious sacrifice. This is a story about who is left standing when the dust settles at the end of the day.
Rubber Chicken Players presents The Seven Samurai.
Ichi, ni, san, shi, go, shichi.
I know, at first glance, Seven Samurai looks really familiar. Helpless village, warriors banding together, this righteous stand of good versus evil. But what Kurosawa does so brilliantly is dismantle that fantasy. The samurai are not hired in the movie because they are admired, but because the villagers are absolutely desperate. Meanwhile, most of the samurai don't join out of nobility. Some join because they're hungry, some want the challenge, others because they know they are becoming obsolete. Look at Kanbei's introduction. It tells us everything. To save a child, he cuts off his top knot, the most visible marker of his class. If you are not ready to humiliate yourself, you are not ready to protect people. Do not forget, in spite of the title, these are not samurai. They are ronin, without master, without land. These are disposable characters. These are disposable people. There is a famous quote in Bushido.
And every day, without fail, one should consider himself as dead.
This line is meant to emphasize it is the samurai's duty to put the needs of others over their own. That only after embracing this will the individual find true clarity and purpose as I understand it. The samurai have these weapons and skills but no future, while the villagers have food and no protection. The only ones with power are the system that refuses to aid the villagers and the bandits who reject the system outright.
The system is fucked. The America we knew has ditched the party and turned the lights out, boys and girls.
There is a power imbalance. The two wildly different classes have to come together to confront it. The village women hide from the samurai. They are a warrior class with a history of assault and abuse. For the villagers, at this point, it isn't even about distrust. It's about survival.
I can take the Seven Samurai? Because that was the first Akira Kurosawa film I saw. And I've shown it to all my children. I think they have to know it. I mean, if they want to see violence properly made, they see that.
If the original Seven Samurai has a soul, it is inside Kikuchiyo. Played by the great Toshiro Mifune, Kikuchiyo is a contradiction given flesh. He's crude, loud, volatile. These are all things the movie explicitly tells us a samurai is not supposed to be. And that's because Kikuchiyo is not a samurai, not legally, not socially. I don't even think we learn his true name. He carries an oversized sword that he can't even hold with proper posture, and his etiquette is even less practiced. This is a low-born peasant presenting himself as what he thinks a samurai should be. He stole an identity from the class that oppressed his own, because for him, it was the only way to be seen.
And after the first one, the first one I saw was Seven Samurai, and after that I was completely hooked. I said, this is really good. It's hard to really appreciate the true genius of Kurosawa, I think, until you've seen a few of the films, and then you've been able to see other films at the same time and be able to realize his visual style. My favorite of all time is really Seven Samurai.
The ending of Seven Samurai is unforgettable. The irony that those who are protecting the village cannot be a part of it. After the battle ends and the day is saved, we watch the farmers celebrate, plant rice, and sing as life goes on. But the samurai stand apart. In their victory, they are still at a loss. This is just their reality. Villagers are rooted. The samurai only survive through movement. Their skills in combat or the protection their name provides. The C-plot of this nearly 4-hour epic ends with this thought. Okamoto, the naive novice of the Seven, can only look down before abandoning his fling with Shino, a young woman his age from the village. The samurai protect life, but they do not get to live it. This is what it costs to be a hero in Seven Samurai. This is why Seven Samurai is timeless. It is a pattern that repeats across every society and every era. If you maintain order, fight injustice and cruelty, shield others from harm, you are expected to do so until you drop, without complaining, without reward. It is not a condemnation in the Seven Samurai, or a celebration of honor. It's just a presentation of life. And that is what makes it hurt or feel like such a downer of an ending even when we succeed.
Kurosawa would have been the first to say that violence, even in the good, interesting pre-war films, was always much too aestheticized. It looked too pretty. Definitely kabuki-derived, much closer to dance in some ways than sword fighting. But even when they kind of tone it down for cinema, it's very stylized. The biggest difference that Kurosawa brought right off the bat to the samurai film in Seven Samurai is to get rid of all that stuff.
What I love about Seven Samurai is that its themes don't just survive each translation, but they mutate with it. Class, performance, cashing the check at the end of a deadly day only to show up time and time again to do it all over again. Even with the setting, the tone, and the audience changes. The most recognizable adaptation is always going to be The Magnificent Seven, where the samurai are swapped out with guns, and feudal Japan becomes the Central American frontier. And this is not just a cosmetic shift, it trickles down through the movie's ideology. When the American cowboy replaces the cast of samurai, a lot changes. While the end message of the hired gunmen losing their place in the world remains, this sense of sacrifice is reframed entirely. In The Magnificent Seven, Kikuchiyo and Okamoto are melded into one character in Chico, this loud, insecure, drunk kid trope proving his worth.
A clap. Faster. As fast as you can.
Because in this story, you don't have to have an elaborate backstory to be a hired gun, just the tools and being good enough. But where Kikuchiyo has a messy, inevitable death, Chico gets a very American ending. He lives. He gets a girl. We even get to see his family when he returns in the sequel. It's a choice that matters. It suggests that if you fight hard enough, spill enough blood, that you can pass that barrier of entry. It's a reality that Kurosawa didn't see in his movie, one that rarely makes it out of Japan.
These two ungodly creatures broke a rock on my head, robbed me of my possessions. I trailed them for 2 days.
One of the sneakier adaptations of this classic comes in Pixar's A Bug's Life. And I think it does things that are really smart, and I will stand by that. It turns the story into fable, but doesn't really soften the politics. Kind of. Flick can clearly leave at any point, and it feels like he has a thing with the princess at the end of the movie, but the ant metaphor is clear as day with the queen and princess being such main characters. And Princess Anna was the first Pixar princess, by the way. Thank you very much. Show some goddamn respect.
Ach, lang me your lumrike me a moose nearly you're gurning away a teardrop in his eye. Hey, she back, wee lassie!
But I digress. In A Bug's Life, the ants are peasants, the grasshoppers are bandits, and the warriors are literal circus clowns pretending to fake it until they make it. They are not samurai. They are not even heroes. Each of them is Kikuchiyo. Here they have to perform their strength because they have little of their own. Before they are even solicited by Flick, they have to fake authority because that is all they have, fake authority. And the lie works, not necessarily because it is a convincing lie, but because it brings the peasants together regardless. I adore A Bug's Life because it gets that courage often starts as performance. Sometimes you can pretend long enough to survive because surviving with your freedom intact is winning. They win because they understand the grasshoppers only have power as long as the ants believe they do. This is like class consciousness defined as I understand it in Pixar's second movie.
Isn't this exciting, Heimlich? Our first day of shooting.
Oh, yeah. It's so exciting.
You know, I can't believe that you talked them into making A Bug's Life too.
Oh, yeah, I can hardly believe it also. But there's a little baby tiny thing I forgot to tell you.
What's that, Heimlich?
Well, you know, it's a 2 movie, but it's not A Bug's Life 2.
Well, then, I don't understand. What is it then?
And action!
And we gotta talk about Star Wars. The franchise has adapted Seven Samurai twice now, and it would be 3 if Zack Snyder's pitch got approved. That became Rebel Moon, by the way. In both The Clone Wars and The Mandalorian, we follow the perspective of the warriors instead of the village they protect. What The Mandalorian really gets is that sacrifice comes with protection. Din Djarin doesn't ride off at the end of the episode because of his nobility or some class divide. He has to because he knows Grogu changes the equation. Staying would break the peace that he has spent so long saving here. In The Mandalorian, this protection comes with being a parent. This sacrifice is still ongoing, just different. This is also a theme that is touched on in the original Magnificent Seven.
You think I'm brave because I carry a gun? Well, your fathers are much braver because they carry responsibility. For you, your brothers, your sisters, and your mothers.
Then there is the Clone Wars episode that speedruns the plot in just 22 minutes. This whole adventure is framed as just another day for the Jedi, the most one-to-one comparison you can find to Japan's samurai. Obi-Wan and Anakin and Ahsoka pull double duty building up the villagers as well as the 4 bounty hunters that round out the 7. Then we have to move on because we are in the middle of an active intergalactic war. Not unlike that original story, a lot of where this story is rooted in the consequences of this war on civilians. What I love about Seven Samurai adaptation specifically, whether it's a Western following ants, a Western in space, it keeps coming back to one or more of these themes. Seven Samurai is a story that endures because it doesn't answer its questions cleanly. A lot of these adaptations are beautiful what-ifs to those uneasy questions the next generation of storytellers is grappling with. Freedom is expensive, heroism is laborious, and nobody can cash these checks alone.
What's gonna work? Teamwork. Ming Ming. Fine. What's gonna work? Teamwork.
Oh, by the gods do I love Seven Samurai. Did you know this was literally the first purchase I ever made on my Amazon account? I opened one when I was like 16 to order the Criterion release. I just love its themes and how influential it is. And yeah, it is the reason I came to love adaptation as a whole, because I immediately noticed how similar it was to movies like A Bug's Life. This kind of study is why I made this channel. I hope other people find use out of it too. Next month, I'm going to try my hand at being a gamer and talk about Metroid. You know what is crazy? Is how clear the class struggle in Seven Samurai is without shoving it down your throat like a facehugger in Alien. Ah! The villagers are not innocent. They lie and manipulate and hoard. They murder and scheme because they have learned the hard way that honesty doesn't keep you alive. And the samurai themselves remind you time and time again that they are not these righteous knights. They are just people who are good at violence. That the samurai's worth ends with their success. There is a subtle, brutal truth in the world of Seven Samurai. That the farmers will never escape their poverty, and that the samurai cannot stop from becoming irrelevant. This system they are fighting for is trapping them.
Say, let's pretend this grain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt? Nope. How about this?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
There is one character that escapes class, and his end is equally tragic. Again, Kikuchiyo, born a peasant, faking being a samurai until he makes it. Like, here is proof that class is not a birthright as much as it is a mindset. He drinks because he feels shame for what he is, for putting on his fake armor, lashing out whenever he is most vulnerable, because that is when he is the least safe. Then he dies, only after all his enemies are defeated, angry, ass out in the mud. This isn't a heroic spectacle, it is a tragic inevitability. The system made him rise above his position out of anger and spite, and then it kills him.
My favorite has got to be Kikuchiyo. I just call him Kiku. He's this big red machino, Kara, and he's real funny, and he tries to do good things and screams at the top of his lungs when he's in a fight. I think I'm gonna be a sidekick. I'll let you know how that goes.
If you haven't noticed, we live in a time where we are pretty obsessed with heroism, but really, really hate the sacrifice that comes with it. First responders get stickers to show support. Teachers are treated like a daycare instead of educators, yet they are all underpaid while money is funneled to already outdated equipment. We praise and glorify burnout as dedication, praising resilience without offering any rest for anyone putting in the hard work that we rely on. Seven Samurai is great at cutting through all of that. As media professor Bert Cadulo says, "The point is that when man lacks a reference outside of himself, when he is devoted to nothing but self-fulfillment and self-glorification, he will suffer grandly." This isn't a story where being a hero is full of glory, it is expensive. That the system is always going to force someone else to pay the bill at the end of the night. And it wants the audience to ask whether that is okay. This is a story that endures, not because of cool sword fights, but because it refuses to lie. It tells us that doing the right thing sometimes means losing something. The battle is over. The rain stops. The fields are planted. Life goes on. And the samurai just walk away. This is an image that lingers because it still leaves an important question that the movie doesn't have an answer to. What do we owe the people that make our freedom possible? Through my eyes, this is a story that endures because it is one that refuses to look away from these questions. It is not about giving us comfort. It is about making us understand the responsibility.
Who are you? We're an elite group of female samurai, and we live here now in hiding. I want to join you. We will train you.
Okay, I feel like such a fucking millennial for my undying love for this movie and all Kurosawa. I hope I am not alone though, or I hope this video speaks to somebody and gets them to check out the movie so I'm not alone. Because if this seminal classic means anything to you, I would love to hear about it. Through My Eyes is a series about the stories we carry with us and how they transform us. What Seven Samurai means to you is just as important as what it means to me. So I hope that when you go fighting for something, you know what the costs are. Know that heroes exist, they are just rarely the ones on the podium at the end of the day. And I almost forgot, if you like this fancy new custom avatar, please reach out to the artist responsible, Adriana, on her Instagram account, Cruel Rule. That is CRL Rule. I will make sure it is linked in the video description. I find her style really cool and engaging and calming, and she also does a lot of stuff in the Gorillaz style, which really takes me right back to the early aughts. Upcoming episodes on Dungeons and Dragons, Metroid, the Pixar Luncheon Movies, Zack Snyder's DC Universe, One Piece, the East Blue Saga,